my goodness, the Denver Broncos get the news we've all been waiting for. We are about a week away from the reveal of the Denver Broncos 2025 NFL schedule, but guess what? We're going to win the AFC West, and you don't have to take my word for it, because in this video, we are breaking down the deep dive that Mike Clay did. He's one of the most accurate NFL prognosticators. You are going to love what he had to say about the Denver Broncos and what he said about the Chiefs and the Chargers and the Raiders. It's fantastic news. If you're new to the channel, I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan named Ben, and it helps me in the algorithm out a ton. If you like the Broncos, will you smash that like and subscribe button? This is the type of news we're going to get sick of hearing for the next 18 weeks as we wait for actual football to start. But this is the head of Bleacher Report's. This is their front page here, and you see our friendly neighborhood starting franchise quarterback Bo Nix at the top of ranking the NFL's most hungry, young, exciting teams in the NFL. And you got to scroll all the way to the bottom to find number one. And guess who it is? It is your Denver Broncos. It is amazing to see all the hype that we're hearing about, all that the Chicago Bears did with the new coach, and they're weighing in at 5, and you're looking here at, oh, CJ Stroud, he's the new face of the NFL. They're still way above us, and all the hype around Travis Hunter. You still got to keep going down until you find your Denver Broncos ranked in at number one as like the most exciting team, because we have the best defense in the NFL, and we got a quarterback who is going to ball out of control. But as I said, I every year rely heavily on looking at Mike Clay. Several websites say that he's the most accurate fantasy predictor, and just in general, his predictions on over and under are the most accurate in the NFL, and he's actually kind of a sleeper on the Broncos, and we're going to dive into that. So he puts out this massive PDF. It's like 100 pages long, and we're going to look at a couple pages that had me wildly hyped, and where I think he kind of underrates us, and even with his underrating, how exciting it is. So just at first blush here, a couple things here is that he goes through here and he ranks like how many snaps he thinks each player is going to have, who's going to be tight end 1, who's going to be tight end 2, who's all that kind of stuff. And a couple of things here. He has Bo Nix next year throwing for 24 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, and an actual worse passer rating than he had as a rookie. I just do not see that happening. And even still, he has our group. He has Bo Nix being a top 10 quarterback next year. Man, if Bo Nix is a top 10 quarterback next year, the Denver Broncos are going to win the AFC West, and we're going to go into why. So one of the things I love looking at on these Mike Clay projections are over here. So let me move my face so I'm out of the way here. So when you look here, you see our win probability in each game. Now, we don't know when each of these games are happening, but we know our opponents, and just a drastic difference. Last year at this time, one of the teams that he totally whiffed on was us, the Denver Broncos. The rest of his projections were fairly accurate, but last year we were only projected to be a favorite in one game last year, and that was against the Carolina Panthers. We went on and won 10 games and tricked the entire NFL, and that's just going to continue to happen. This is when Sean Payton responded to, the next time I win 7 games, only 7 games, it'll be my first time. So looking at just what a drastic difference a year makes, he actually only has us predicted to be underdogs in 3 games all of next year, right? So he has us as pretty big underdogs with only a 37% chance of winning against Philadelphia Eagles. Man, I think with Jalen Hurts' injury history, that's not even a given. That's going to be a tough game, absolutely, but 37% chance, that's the worst one. He thinks that the game against Kansas City on the road, we only have a 41% chance of winning. Remember last year, it took a blocked field goal for the Broncos to lose to the Kansas City Chiefs. We outplayed Kansas City in Kansas City with a rookie quarterback, with a defense with several holes in it that we plugged this offseason. And then he has us as underdogs also against the Houston Texans, which I think is going to be a fantastic game. And I think the Broncos match up really well. This same Houston actually was probably even a little bit better when Russell Wilson was on the goal line with a chance to win with 4 downs to score a touchdown, and he didn't. So I think the Broncos next year have a fantastic chance of at least winning 10 games. When he goes through and actually runs the analytics, he thinks the Broncos are going to win 9.8 games. Keep that in mind as we look at a couple other things. Now, the other thing I love about these Clay projections is he goes through and gives each of the units on the Broncos a grade and how they sort out. So these ones here, unit grade, 10 would be perfect, like the best in the NFL. 1 would be the worst in the NFL. And so he says Bo Nix is a middle of the tier quarterback. He's given him a 5 on there. Now, we got to remember that he also, when we go through in a second, has Bo Nix as his 10th best quarterback in the entire NFL. So we'll take that, right? So let's say that's true. Now, he also says our running back group is one of the worst in the entire NFL. I don't think Sean Payton feels that way. And if he did, he would have tried to get Najee Harris, which we didn't even reach out and try to talk to him in free agency. He would have drafted maybe Omarion Hampton. He would have gone for J.K. Dobbins. He would have gone for Chubb as he's on the board. I think Sean Payton feels that our running back room is way better than that. And then this one baffled me. He thinks our wide receiver room is also one of the worst in the NFL, and I think Sean Payton feels great about that wide receiver room. Pat Bryant is going to just make a huge impact on this team, and then you're going to have Mims continue his production. You're going to have Courtland Sutton being who Courtland Sutton always is, and he's a top 10 wide receiver in the league. Don't take my word for it. Hear what the Kansas City cornerbacks think about him, that he's one of the best wide receivers in the league. Now, here's the thing. Now, tight end room, he has us as the 7th, right? He has us a 7 out of 10. Last year, we were 1 out of 10, so made a massive leap there. He has our offensive line being almost like a 9 out of 10. He has our interior pass rush an 8 out of 10. Now, he has our edge rush as a 5 out of 10, and I think you look at Jonah Ellis, played most of last year hurt, still had 5 sacks. Nick Bonito was almost got the sack leader of last year. You look at Jonathan Cooper, 10 sacks last year. Dondre Tillman, and then obviously we're throwing Quay Robinson in that mix. I think our edge room is better than just average. But then you look here again, just amazing production here. The one that I think is a total slight is he has our cornerback room 7 out of 10, and he has us as the 10th out of 32 teams in the NFL when it comes to our cornerback room, which is mind-boggling because we got the steal of the draft in Jade. Riley Moss, when he's healthy, is a game wrecker. And then we have the best defensive player in football in Pat Surtain. So even with all of that said, he has the Denver Broncos winning 9.8 games next year and being in favorites in every single game except for 3. Now let's look at how that compares to some of our AFC opponents and why this should just make you wildly hyped. So let's go in here to the Kansas City Chiefs. So he has the Kansas City Chiefs, when it comes to their win rate, only winning 0.2 games more than us. Obviously, we know you can't win 0.2 games more than us, but how many games were the Kansas City Chiefs last year in that were one-score games? That's not going to happen again, you guys. Like they won every single one-score game and all those last-second referee-assisted wins. That's not going to happen again. He has the Kansas City Chiefs, the Super Bowl runners-up last year, as only being 0.2 games better than us. And then looking here, the Kansas City Chiefs are putting out just a horrible running back room. Like Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, Elijah Mitchell, Carson Steele, and Brashard Smith. Like that's who you're running out there. I would put Audric RJ Harvey way above them. But the one that got me crazy excited was looking at who he has as far as leading the Kansas City Chiefs next year when it comes to receptions. That Rashee Rice, he's baking in that Rashee Rice is going to face that 8-game suspension next year for the drunk driving thing. That is going to happen. And so their number 1 receiver next year is Xavier Worthy. We've seen he's not a wide receiver 1. Like he's got crazy speed and he's got one route that is lethal. But beyond that, you are not scared of any of the wide receivers for the Kansas City Chiefs. And he's got Travis Kelce next year somehow having 109 targets and 80 receptions, even though he's 35 years old next year. This is just a fantastic thing. And when it comes to just ranking the positions, I'm loving the fact that, look at all of these red on here as opposed to the Denver Broncos red. Like our red, I don't even think are red ratings. And you look at theirs are legit. Like their O-line room is only a 6 out of 10. We saw their offensive line last year let the Philadelphia Eagles with 4 guys be in the backfield all game long. And their pickup was a real stretch to draft. And then they got the backup left tackle from the San Francisco 49ers. Their secondary is in rough shape, and I think this is just a fantastic thing. Now, even if the Chiefs do end up winning the division next year, the thing that got me crazy excited was just seeing how clearly he thinks we're better than the Chargers. So the Broncos will at least finish second next year in the AFC West. I know we finished third, and the Chargers swept us last year, but that is just not going to happen again. And I think Mike Clay is spot on in his predictions here, especially when it comes to looking at just their offensive weapons around Justin Herbert. He has Herbert throwing for 22 touchdowns next year, and it's hard-pressed to find someone outside of Ladd McConkey who scares you whatsoever. And to me, Jahdae Barron was brought in to stop Ladd McConkey. He has next year Ladd McConkey having 85 catches and eclipsing 1,000 yards. But when it comes to just ranking his total position rooms, he has Justin Herbert slightly above Bo Nix. Obviously, the running back room for the Chargers is a great upgrade from last year. They now have O'Marion Hampton and Najee Harris. So yes, their running back room is great, but look at their wide receiver room getting a 6 when all you have on there, the only household name on there is Ladd McConkey. I think that is a big overreach there, but man, tight end room, they wanted Evan Ingram and they didn't get him, and they are going to be sorely missing that because Ladd McConkey is their only weapon. And then just looking at how much they're going to struggle next year defensively, that you see their linebackers are a 4 and their cornerbacks are a 4. And that's just a fantastic thing that they're going to have a top 10 offense, but one of the worst defenses in the entire league, and that they're only projected to win 8.7 games next year, and that they have a tougher schedule than the Broncos. They don't even have a home field advantage when they do play at home, and some of their tougher games next year are on the road. So I just think this is shaping up perfectly for the Broncos. And then all of the hype about the Vegas Raiders, and really the hype truly is just on Twitter, and it's not in reality. That he is predicting Geno Smith to only have a couple more touchdowns next year than he has interceptions. And again, when you take a look at how he ranks the different rooms, he's saying that Geno Smith is definitely worse than Bo Nix. He's giving Ashton Jeanty a lot of credit. I don't think Ashton Jeanty is walking in next year and rushing for almost 1,200 yards, which is what he's predicting. And then looking at the weaknesses on the Raiders team, it is stark here that he's got the wide receiver room being abysmal, and then their defense. They lost multiple defensive starters, and their defense also wasn't good just to even begin with. And so he is predicting that the Raiders are going to be the 28th worst team in the NFL offensively and the 29th worst team defensively. Overall, they're the 31st ranked, the second to worst team in the entire NFL, and I think that is spot on. So you got the Broncos, basically being the 7th best team in the entire NFL next year. The Broncos are going to win the AFC. Mike Clay proves it. Let me know what do you think is the biggest slight on Mike Clay's rankings? To me, it's not giving us more credit for our incredible secondary, because I think that is taking us to a deep playoff run next year. That's something we can all believe in.